You're listening to a Pave Media show.
Visit pavemedia.net for more podcasts and video.
So, John, imagine this. You are transported to Mars against your will and find yourself in the exact situation of John Carter. What 3 things that you already own would you take with you?
So I am John Carter in this scenario?
Yeah.
Okay. I would pack some clothes. I'm not really a loincloth kind of guy.
So you're going to go there with wheelie luggage?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, just at least a shirt, something, some jeans. Just,
okay, yeah. To be fair, actually, that Martian landscape did not look very nice for your ginger skin.
Well, that brings me to my second choice, which is some Factor 60.
Yeah.
It is Mars, after all. Mm-hmm. And finally, I would bring a lot of bug spray.
Oh,
it would
yeah.
solve the problem with those Farky things pretty easily.
Yes, that's a pretty good shout. Yeah. You'd do pretty well, I think.
Yeah, I think I'd probably survive.
Yeah. I mean, you'd do well for you, I would say.
Some films are fine just the way they are. Other films sometimes take it way too far. But really, how bad could it get? Let's go beyond the box set.
Welcome everybody to Beyond the Box Set, the podcast where we pitch prequels, sequels and spin-offs to films that don't have any. I'm Harry, joining me as always is John.
It's John of Mars, actually.
Oh, John of Mars, I'm sorry.
Yes, thank you.
And we've got a guest on this week. We've got Brandon T McClure from the Fake Nerds podcast.
Hi, how are you?
We're all good. How are you?
I'm okay. It's early for me.
How early?
It's about like 11 o'clock. I normally sleep until this point, though, so, you know.
I normally sleep way after that, so no. I feel you. Yeah. Cool. And so, Brandon, you've actually just joined Pave Media, so
yes.
Hello and welcome to the network.
Thank you. I'm happy to be a part of it.
Now, you've brought a film here. Tell us, why have you brought John Carter?
Well, John Carter is an interesting film in that it's one of Disney's biggest flops of all time. It came out at a time, honestly, probably too late or too early, depending on what you think. But no matter what, it fell into this kind of area where it bombed and there was never a sequel, and it definitely sets up one. And the director, Andrew Stanton, who was the director of Finding Nemo and Finding Dory, he intended it to be the launching point of a trilogy, and we never got it, and that's just a damn shame in my eyes. It's a great movie. It's a fun movie, just an action adventure that they don't do anymore, and they haven't done since.
Okay, so you say it's a great movie and a fun movie. Is that true?
Oh, did you guys not like it?
Not the biggest fans, to be honest.
Oh, I see. I
mean, how tied are you to this movie, like, emotionally speaking?
Well, if you don't like it, that's fine. But, obviously, I'm in the minority since a lot of people didn't see it. But it's fine.
Good. I didn't really like the arsehole who like rips on your favourite movie.
No.
I'll be honest, this movie made me feel very old.
Oh, really?
But you are very old.
No, well, yes, maybe that's part of it. I don't know. Like, honestly, I was watching this movie yesterday, and I actually sent a text to Harry saying, I'm an hour and 20 minutes into this movie, and I have literally no idea what's going on.
That's fair. That's definitely fair.
In fact, I actually watched it a second time today before this podcast, just because honestly, the first time I watched it, I got nothing out of it that I could bring to this podcast to like discuss and talk about. And I watched it a second time, and much the same. It was so convoluted.
It's a lot. And Andrew Stanton's gone on record saying like he was drunk with power. This was his first live action film, and Disney gave him all the power, so he was just kind of like, I'll do whatever I want. That might not have been the way to go, but he was definitely attempting something.
Oh, sure. I mean, it's obviously a labour of love. Like, there's obviously a lot of enthusiasm going into this, and it kind of blew my mind when I read about Andrew Stanton and the fact that he wrote, not just directed, he also wrote WALL-E, Toy Story 2,
yes,
and Finding Nemo, and
wow,
they're amazing films, and they are films with a real sense of narrative cohesion. Like, they have great stories, and they hang together really well. And the main problem I had with this film is that it just, as I mentioned, it was so convoluted. It felt like I really thought I was watching it out of sync or something. Like, I thought as the copy I got like put all the scenes in the wrong order or something. Because
I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, Harry, how did you find it?
I don't think I found it as convoluted as you. Like I kind of understood the basic plot of what was going on, but I really think that the film could have done better to actually have been a trilogy and not just be the first third of a trilogy, because clearly it's like you said, it's Brandon, it's setting up for more films to come after it, and there's a lot of detail in it which they're putting in. It's clearly going to pay off later in other bits, and it's very obviously based off a book because it's got that level of detail.
Yeah.
Is it a book or is it a comic book series?
It's a book. It was a book first, and they have made comics based off of it.
And are you familiar with those? Were you a fan of the source materials first, or were you just a fan of the film when it came out?
I mean, I'd always heard of it because it's Edgar Rice Burroughs wrote the book in 1913, I think, and he is the primary source of inspiration for most of the sci-fi films and stories that came out after. So Star Wars has a lot of influence from Edgar Rice Burroughs, for example.
That explains the Attack of the Clones style scene.
Yeah, because I spent this whole film thinking this is giving me like bad Star Wars prequel flashbacks.
Yeah, actually, Robert Zemeckis was initially attached to direct the film. The film was in development hell for 79 years, and Robert Zemeckis...
Sometimes that's a sign.
And Robert Zemeckis had initially been attached to direct, and he was like, I didn't want to do it because George Lucas did it better.
Okay.
So it was like very clear that George Lucas, even the poster art for Star Wars initially, like it was very clear George Lucas took a lot of inspiration from this story.
Well, that's actually really interesting that this is like comes before all of that stuff, because I guess it's one of those unfortunate things where because it took so long to get to the screen, so many things that came after it also came before it, if that makes sense. Because that was the main thing. It felt really derivative to me, but actually I guess it actually invented the genre in many ways.
Yeah, that was one of the things that my friends and I talked about a lot. Like, a lot of people felt the story was derivative, but it's not, because everything else is derivative of it. It's just where, like I said before, the film came out too late because everything has done it since. For 79 years, it was supposed to be the first animated film before Snow White even came out, and that didn't happen. And then...
Wow, sorry, you weren't exaggerating when you said 79 years.
Oh, yeah. This film has been in development hell for a very long time, even before Disney got the rights to it. Disney no longer has the rights to it, but for a while, like, if Disney were to make it now, I feel like it would do infinitely better because of the clout Disney has right now. They're just in a much better space than they were when they put this film out. So it's either too late or too early, and I don't know which is which.
It also really reminded me of stuff like The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Ouch.
I know that sounds like such a burn. Well, but you know what I mean? But not just because personally I didn't care for it, but also because like it's got that kind of steampunky style. Maybe
I can see that.
Maybe it's not technically steampunk, but it's got that kind of... I don't know, it had that vibe of like, I could well imagine John Carter, the character, being in The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, don't let Alan Moore listen to this. That might happen.
Really? Okay, sure. Yeah, it just had that like way too many plot lines kind of... Maybe that's the thing, because League of Extraordinary Gentlemen also came from a bunch of famous novels and stuff, and it just tried to pack way too much world building into a 2-hour movie, and it just ended up this kind of incomprehensible mess. Yeah, and it's kind of how I felt about this a little bit.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Mars. So you name it and think that you know it. The Red Planet. No air, no life. But you do not know Mars, for its true name is Barsoom, and it is not airless, nor is it dead, but it is dying. The city of Zodanga saw to that. Zodanga, the predator city, moving, devouring, draining Barsoom of energy and life.
Okay, so Brandon, do you want to take us on a bit of a plot summary? Try and catch me and John up with the film.
Sure. So we start with John Carter. He's on Earth, and he used to be a Confederate soldier within the American Civil War. This is now the 1880s. The Civil War is long over, and he's a gold prospector. He's captured by Bryan Cranston.
In Bryan Cranston and his best supporting wig.
Yes. I love his mustache.
My goodness, that was a bit of a shock to me when I worked out. Oh my god, that's Bryan Cranston.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
This portion of the film had so many like stick-on mutton chops as well.
Yeah, yeah, it did.
Yeah, Bryan Cranston had shortly after Breaking Bad, Bryan Cranston was in a couple of films that you would never have known otherwise. This one's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I looked it up actually. This came out before Breaking Bad finished.
Oh,
this was
interesting.
about sort of Breaking Bad season 5, start of season 5 time.
Okay.
So like when it's at its absolute height.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And he did this.
Yeah, he probably. Well, let's face it. This didn't take him long to shoot.
And also, I'm sure that this film was sold to a lot of people as this is going to be the next Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure that every actor who's in this is expecting, I'm going to be the next Frodo.
Yeah. This
Yeah,
cost
and-
more than Avatar. Seriously, that's another stat.
Whoa.
This film cost more to make and market than Avatar.
That I didn't know. That's ridiculous.
Seriously?
Yeah, that's a stat that I read.
What did
yes.
Avatar cost?
Like, I don't know the exact numbers, but this costs more. And obviously,
I'll
brought in a lot less.
I'll look it up.
This film, Disney was hoping to be the next Star Wars because they hadn't bought Lucasfilm yet. So, but anyway.
Yeah, this film, and I remember reading this film needed to, because it is a famous bomb, but it didn't like make no money. I mean, it did make no money, it lost loads of money, but it didn't take no money. It took over 200 million at the global box office, which for like a smaller film would be a huge success.
Yeah.
But it needed to make 700 million just to break even.
Yeah.
That's how much it cost to make a market.
Do you know how much this one cost then?
I don't know. No.
Because Avatar cost 237 million.
I think this one cost like 200 million. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't 250 million. I think the general is with the big budget blockbuster like this nowadays about 250, and then add on another 100 million for marketing.
Oh yeah, this cost 250 million.
Yeah, this needed to enter like the top 32 highest grossing films of all time just to break even. That's how confident they were that this was going to be the next big thing.
Now, where did that budget go?
Well, I think this movie
Because-
looked really good.
It had its moments where it did look really good, but it also had its moments where it didn't look very good at all.
Well, some of that's like technology is dated.
It is, but like this came out, 3 years after Avatar? 3 or 4? And I would say the CGI characters are vastly worse.
I think Avatar's aging a little bit worse than a lot of people are giving it credit for.
Okay, sure. I mean, to be honest,
thought we watched
I've not
that.
seen that in about 20 years.
That's
Since you were
fair.
a 6-year-old boy.
Hey, Avatar 2 in 2020.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
going to be huge.
Yeah, I can't wait for Avatar 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good time.
But anyway, please return to your
Yes.
summary.
So he's captured by Bryan Cranston, and he, in a couple of funny slapstick escape attempts, he finally escapes.
They were my favourite part of the movie, actually, I've got to say.
Yeah,
There's a lot of them.
this is pretty fun.
That one scene when he's constantly like interrupting Bryan Cranston's speechifying, because it's like that thing in every movie where Bryan Cranston's not really the villain in this film, but he's being set up as the villain. You know, there's always that bit where Dr. Evil's giving his long speech. It's
Yes.
like, why doesn't the hero just jump? And the fact that they undercut that genuinely was like a laugh out loud moment for me. So
Yeah.
I'll give this film that did make me laugh. So
Just jumps out the window halfway through Bryan
Yeah.
Cranston's speech. Yeah, so he escapes, and there's a chase sequence that leads into the Indian chase sequence. The Apaches are now chasing them, and Bryan Cranston gets shot. A lot of this prologue doesn't really matter, but it's kind of entertaining.
you've actually missed the first prologue, because this film has 3 prologues.
You're
before
right.
it actually gets started.
I totally
Because they
forgot. I've totally forgot because
Yeah.
this is actually something I wish that hadn't been the prologue. I totally forgot the first prologue is Willem Dafoe narrating what Barsoom is, which is Mars. We get the intro sequence where we're introduced to the main villain of the story, and a pretty exciting, actually, well, I think it's an exciting flight sequence where we get a taste of what's happening and how Mars is at war with helium, and what's the others? It starts with a J. Jeez, I totally forgot.
Jeddah, is it?
No, Jeddak are the kings.
Oh, Jarsoom?
No, that's Earth.
Oh, okay. I mean, there was so much. The terminology in this film
So
was
many made-up
ridiculous.
words.
Like,
I know. Yeah, I think people were saying the same thing about Star Wars too for a while.
well, I mean, yeah. I mean, to be fair, that is sci-fi, but
Yeah, I totally forgot what it starts with. It's Gerathium. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
you're speaking to the wrong people. Like,
Yeah.
we're not going to be able to help you with this.
So this guy, they're at war, and this guy's losing the war, and then the Therns.
This is Dominic West, right? The actor Dominic West is playing the warlord.
Yes, I believe so. So now these other alien beings called the Therns come down with this like wiry blue thing, that's
It
ultra
looks like a-
powerful.
Yeah, it looks like a bad 3D print of like a ship in a bottle or something. Like, I think
yeah.
this is where the technology doesn't, the CGI, the weapon doesn't look particularly impressive.
Yeah, I'll accept that. So Mark Strong plays the leader of the Therns, and he gives him this thing, and then we're cut to Earth. Now, just go back to what I said before. Now, John Carter and Bryan Cranston are in the spider cave, which is what John Carter's been looking for to find gold, and there's tons of gold in it. Bryan Cranston's now helping him because the enemy of my enemy is my friend sort of situation.
So Bryan Cranston kind of captures him and throws him in jail with all of his Confederate buddies because he's trying to recruit him to the army, right? To kind of fight the Apaches.
Yes.
And so there's this whole thing where he's trying to interrogate him, and then John Carter keeps trying to break free, and he's obviously got a bad attitude, this John Carter guy. And then John Carter ultimately escapes, rides off on a horse, and then they're giving chase, and the Apaches come, and there's this whole fight. And then John Carter chooses to rescue Bryan Cranston.
Yeah.
Bryan Cranston gets shot by the Apaches, right?
Yeah.
But it's like he leaves all the other guys to die. He specifically just saves Bryan Cranston, who
Yeah.
he's got no pre-existing relationship with.
Yeah, that's
any more than the other guys.
I think the other guys were already a lost cause because they kind of disappear into the fight. But Bryan Cranston was, he was just shot once and he was still chasing after John, and John felt bad because he was like, well, this guy's in this situation because of me, which is a character trait we actually see John later use, where it's just like, well, I'm not completely a dick. I just kind of want to be left alone.
Yeah, sure.
So he does save Bryan Cranston, and he's exploring the spider cave, and he sees this thing this like altar thing. And then all of a sudden, a Thern, we find out later that they're called Therns. He shows up and be like, "Oh man, someone's in my cave," and gets shot by Bryan Cranston. And he dies, and he's starting to recite something. It's not English, but he's saying whatever it is. And Bryan Cranston touches the amulet that he has, just as he says.
Do you mean John Carter? Bryan Cranston is not going to Mars.
John Carter, sorry.
This is a wrap on Bryan Cranston. This is the end of him in this movie. Like, he's not going to Mars.
Bryan Cranston won't be in the movie much longer.
No. That's why they spend so much time on this relationship, like where he saves, because when John Carter rescues Bryan Cranston from this near-death experience,
yes,
I was like, okay, so these are our characters. These are our main characters. It's going to be this odd couple relationship. They're not going to like each other, but they're going to be on an adventure together, and they're going to, it's typical adventure movie. And nope. Once this happens, Bryan Cranston is just not in the movie anymore. Yep.
The Earth stuff is really just inconsequential to the story. It only serves to get him to the cave.
And yet it takes 25 minutes.
Yeah, that's fair. So
sorry.
Yeah, but that's how these fantasies work. Like, look at Lord of the Rings before they actually go on the adventure.
That is an hour.
Even then, it takes ages for him to leave Hobbiton.
Hobbiton, yeah.
Whatever, yeah. And then even it then takes them ages to get to the elves' place, have the whole meeting, and then leave that.
Sure.
And that's like half the film, but that's what the film is about, is from then onwards.
Yeah, this is the thing. It's world building.
It can work.
And it either works or it doesn't. For me, personally, it didn't work for this film because... we'll get to it.
I think the difference there is, in Lord of the Rings, you're already in a fantastical world. You're already... in this area. Whereas here, you're just on Earth in the 1870s. It's just Earth.
Yeah. Well, you start on Mars, as you mentioned, like the Willem Dafoe thing, where I genuinely thought I'd downloaded the wrong film when I was watching Mortal Engines, for the initial intro thing. Then it jumps from Mars to Earth in 1870-something when you've got John Carter's nephew.
Is that the kid from Spy Kids?
Oh, man. I forgot about the second intro.
You see what I mean? It's so convoluted.
Which is the framing device of the whole movie.
Yeah. But also, it's only at the start and end. It makes no difference to the rest of the plot. Otherwise, it's just...
But we jump to three very specific different time frames and locations in the space of the first 20 minutes of the movie before the main action starts.
Yeah.
And I think the difference between that and The Lord of the Rings is that, yes, we're in Hobbiton for a long-ass time, but we start in Hobbiton, and it's creating this thing... that at the end of the Return of the King, when Sam and Frodo are having their moment on when they think they're going to die, and it gives it that emotional core because they just want to go back to Hobbiton because you've spent enough time to understand why.
I don't know why I said Hobbiton. I should have just said the Shire, really.
The Shire. That's Anyway, yes, my point was that there's too many intros in this film.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think it would have been better if they kind of consistently jumped around time rather than just having a bit of it at the start and then a little bit at the end?
I do think that the Spy Kids character should have been either a character or not in it at all.
Yeah.
Or they could have cut that whole framing device, or they could have not. Right?
Well, I think to your point, I think the framing device should have been at the beginning. We shouldn't have had the sequence with Barsoom at the beginning.
Yeah.
If you take that out, because that's the true beginning of the movie, then it goes to the nephew, and then it goes to the flashback, and then we finally get to Mars. But if you take out the beginning of the Willem Dafoe bit, and you just have the framing device of the kid, because you need that then to go to the ending, and if those are the only places where you're putting it, that shouldn't be your second intro. That should be your first intro. I think, anyway.
My dear Edgar, I remember how I used to take you on my knee and tell you wild tales, which you always did me the great courtesy of believing. Now you are grown. Time and space have parted us, but I reach out across that distance to that same wide-eyed boy and ask him to believe me once more. This wild tale begins 13 years ago, in the Arizona Territory, between the Pinaleño Mountains and the backside of hell.
So it's the second intro, real quickly to recap, is Ned, who is John Carter's nephew, has come to basically take care of his will and his things because John Carter's dead. And so he reads the journal, and then that's when we get to the proper flashback of the events of the story. It's all told through flashback. The story is a flashback. So through the third intro, we finally get to Mars, and he doesn't know how he got there. He's just not even sure where he is. He just knows he's in a desert, and he can jump really far. He finds this Thark. The Thark eggs have hatched, and we meet Willem Dafoe's character, who is Tarkus, who's the Jedak of the Tharks.
The names drove me nuts. Like Tars Tarkus. The Dominic West character, was he called Sad Fan?
Probably.
I couldn't get a handle on any of the names.
I only know a handful of the names. I know Deja Thoris, Tars Tarkus, and John Carter. That's it.
They all felt like first draft names.
Yeah.
In the first drafting of the script. I'm sure they're all in the book, but it was just like, these are not names that like scan particularly naturally. Right?
Mark Strong is Matai Shang.
No. Dominic West's character is Sad Fan.
Sab Fan.
Sab Fan. I heard it as Sad Fan, as in a sad like thing that you fan yourself with. Right.
There's Kantos Kan.
See, these just
Sakoja.
These are great. I love it.
It was just way too much. Like
Tardos Moors. Tal Hadjas.
Okay, we get the picture, Harry. We get the picture. Put down the phone. It's a lot. But yeah, so Willem Dafoe and these Tharks are like green CGI alien characters. They're kind of like
they're the green Martians, and they have tusks, and they have 4 arms, and they're more of the kind of the of the land of the. They're not as high tech as the other Barsoomians.
Yeah, I was wondering if they were supposed to represent the Native Americans, because it seemed like that was a kind of parallel between, because the framing device of Bryan Cranston is you've got your, American Confederates versus your Native Americans, because they were more like, as you mentioned, off the land, kind of a little more. Is primitive too offensive? I don't mean, but like they weren't particularly technology driven, like. Comparatively, so I wondered if that was supposed to be the parallel there, that they were the Native Americans.
I think so,
and
I think that's the idea, or at least the idea presented in the books. I don't know if it's quite as well executed in the movie.
Sure, because this book is over 100 years old, so racial sensitivities probably aren't what they are today.
Oh yeah, Deja Thoris is a completely overhauled character. Her character is very much a damsel in distress in the book. She gets kidnapped more than any other archetype within her archetype in the books, but in the movie she's got agency. She's the lead of the science council. She's a skilled fighter. I actually really like what they did with Deja Thoris in the movie.
I mean, I'd say that she's better than what it sounds like she is in the books, but there's still a long way to go.
Yeah.
So she does get rescued a lot.
Well, when you start at 0,
I've got a drinking game for every time she is carried.
Well, when you start at 0, it's difficult to get to 10.
Well, sure, yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, progress. It's progress.
Yeah. So the Tharks take John Carter because they think he's some weird form of white ape, which is actually the name of Tarzan, another Edgar Rice Burroughs character.
I wondered because the styling with the loincloth and he did look, and the hair and everything, he really did look like Tarzan. So I did read that the writer also wrote Tarzan. I was like, that makes sense. He has a thing for hot guys with mid-length hair in loincloths.
I did enjoy the sequence / montage where they just treat him like a baby.
Yeah.
Entirely, where they're just wrapping up in baby clothes, feeding him milk and stuff like that. It was good.
Yeah. That was somewhat entertaining. Yeah,
I was confused as to why they shaved his beard. I mean, I know
because they needed to make Taylor Kitsch look like Taylor Kitsch.
Exactly, yeah. But it was a bit odd.
Yeah, I don't know how they knew of what beards were, because as far as we know, these species don't grow them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like, treat him like a baby. Are you shaving your babies? What's happening here?
Hey, they're aliens. You don't know.
You don't know. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so the opposite to us. They get beards until they hit puberty, and then all the hair falls out.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking one thing we need to make clear for listeners that I don't know we've touched on yet is that because John Carter is on Mars and it's not his natural habitat, he can jump exceptionally high and he has super strength, and they're his main powers. So that's why he's so attractive to everyone who meets him, because it's like he's a superhero.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so everyone's kind of like, this is not normal, because he doesn't resemble any form of Martian. There's a couple Martians. There's the red Martians, which is Dejasaurus, and the humanoid ones. Then there's the green Martians, and those are the only two we see in the movie. However, in the book, there's all sorts. There's yellow, the white, black. There's all kinds of different Martians.
Are Dominic West's crew, like the conquering ones, the bad guys, are they also red Martians? They're a different tribe of red Martians? Or are they blue Martians?
They're just a different tribe of red Martians.
Okay, fine, cool.
But their colors are blue, so it's...
Their tattoos were blue, weren't they?
Yeah. It's to represent just a different clan of red Martian.
Sure, okay.
So the Tharks take him and a bunch of their babies, and we kind of get what the Tharks are. They're this warlike species who are more tribal, and they kill, basically they're weak because they want to have only strong. Then a really brutal killing of babies, which is something.
Did they kill the babies?
Yeah, they killed all the babies that didn't hatch.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that at all.
I was wondering what was going on. It seemed, because they just sort of threw the babies into a ring, and then everybody just scrambled for all the babies. And
I was very concerned about the childcare.
I was thinking, are these bred to? Are they animals that are going to be eaten? Are these their young?
These are their young.
What's going on? Is everybody scrambling for them because everybody wants a kid?
Yes,
and there's only one thing that can lay eggs.
Because there's a whole thing coming up in the plot later about parentage when is it Saru? What's she called, the female?
Deja.
She's called Deja? No,
You're talking about the Thark female, the main Thark female.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Don't worry about it.
There's a whole thing where she is Willem Dafoe's daughter, but she doesn't know because most of the Tharks don't... I can't believe I've actually understood this film more than you two now after all this me complaining. But yeah, doesn't she finds out that she's Willem Dafoe's dad, but because all of the Tharks...
Sorry, she's Willem Dafoe's dad?
Daughter, yeah. She's Willem Dafoe's daughter, but because they all get raised remotely in these little egg pouches, they don't know who's parented them, because it's just like a free-for-all, apparently.
Right.
So I think that was it, yeah. So they kind of lay the eggs, and the eggs will put somewhere remotely, and then it's like there's no sense of parentage. It's just like you said, there's a scramble. You just pick a baby, and you raise that baby.
Right. So they treat John as a baby. They're given to, who you said, the Thark female, who's the daughter of Willem Dafoe's character. And Willem Dafoe's the only one who knows this at this point. But they're like, raise this weird thing to be our whatever. And they call him Virginia, not John Carter, because they don't understand English.
Because he introduces himself as from Virginia, the States. And so they think that's his name.
I clocked that right away. I was like, oh, that's not the right way to introduce yourself. They're just going to get confused because they don't know the difference between your name and your location. And then it happens. So... I predicted a thing, and it happened.
Good for you.
Go me.
So they end up giving him the speech of Barsoom, the language of Barsoom, which is basically water that makes you understand because magic. So then he tries to prove himself. There's some fun escaping with the dog, which I thought the dog was really cute.
It was very much like, oh, this character needs a sidekick. Yeah. Bring in a dog. There was no introduction to the dog. There was no reason for the dog to be there, but it was like, okay, sure.
Yeah. I didn't like it.
I'm a sucker for weird animals.
Oh, so. I just don't like dogs. So,
It wasn't technically a dog.
Yeah, but it was, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And they were riding horses. Not technically horses, but they were horses.
Sure.
What happened next to get to the action sequence? No, I think we cut to Dejasaurus trying to explain how their rivals can harness the blue light. She can also harness it. And her king
so she's a princess.
Yeah, she's the princess of Mars, but also the leader of the the Science Academy on Mars of Helium, which is her faction.
Ugh.
The capital of Mars.
Another message I sent to Harry while watching this film, I was like, this is like an hour in, I was like, if this bitch says helium one more time, I'm out. It was just every other word. Like, we must get to helium. Helium, you must save helium. Helium. It's like, it's a balloon.
Bear in mind, this is an hour in, so I reply saying, like, well, you're going to be totally out of this film by the end. He goes and watches it a second time.
Well, I needed to understand it. But, yeah, so she's the princess, but she's also engineering this kind of blue light thing, which is like a super weapon or something. Yeah,
so it's this light that can be harnessed. It's also called the Ninth Ray. It can be it's harnessed by the Therns and given to the Red Martians, and she can also tap into it. She's very close to tapping into it to give helium the edge, but she's thwarted by the Therns. They're like, no, we can't have anybody do this, have this power, so we're going to destroy this thing and make you look like an idiot.
Because the Therns can shapeshift. That's another thing that they can.
Yes.
They can kind of be anywhere and be anyone. They can shapeshift all the time. So she's demonstrating that she's kind of close to cracking this weapon, and then a Fern disguised as a
Red
Martian dignitary or guard or whatever kind of touches it and then breaks it, basically.
Yeah, and she's like, oh wait, I did this, and the king's like, look, stop being an idiot. You're gonna have to marry this guy, or else we're all gonna die.
Yeah,
and she doesn't like that, and she runs away.
Yeah. It's another movie, one of many movies in which so many lives could have been spared if one woman had just decided to suck it up and get married.
To be fair, this guy was an asshole.
Feminist over here.
No. I'm just saying, in this particular instance, a lot of people died for her not wanting to marry Dominic West. I'm just saying,
Okay.
Yeah, but Dominic West is an asshole.
He was an asshole, but she could have found other ways.
Yeah, that's fair. So she escapes, and I don't remember. Oh yeah, John Carter escaping leads to them punishing Sola and John, and we get to we see all of Sola's scars of every time she's been punished, and Tars is like, "There's no more room. The next offense will be your last."
Yeah. So Sola's like the nice alien, like the nice farm thing. So she kind of has a conscience, and she kind of tries to help John Carter out as much as she can. And for that, she is punished. She's punished because he escapes from the child creche kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Then, while this is happening, the helium and the Red Martians are fighting above, and they're like, "Oh my God, hide and take bets!" And so they all take bets on who's going to win and who's going to die. And John Carter sees a woman, and he's like, "I need to be a hero," and goes to save the woman.
She's human.
Yeah,
right. Therefore, I value her life.
That's a girl. Time
having just killed several of these alien creatures,
Yeah. So he goes to save her, and kind of, to the screenwriter's credit, there's a bit where he's like, "Stay behind me," and she's just kind of like, "Wait, this guy can. What is he doing?" And then there's a bit where he loses, and she's like, "Now stay behind me," and she kicks ass. I was like, that's cute. Points there. So thanks to John Carter, the bad guys lose, and she's like, "You can take me prisoner. I need to know what this is."
Mm-hmm.
And so she's the one who gives the exposition dump of like, what are you? How does this happen? And he's like, "I'm from Earth," and he's like, "I don't know what Earth is. You're on Barsoom." And he's like, "I don't know what Barsoom is." So he's like, "We're here. We're on Earth, the third planet from the sun." And she's like, No, we're on the fourth planet from the sun, Barsoom." And he's like, "I'm on Mars." So points for him for understanding like right away that he's not on the same planet.
I'll be honest, at this point in the film, because this happens, 45 minutes in? An hour,
probably.
Maybe? I had completely forgotten that this film was set on Mars.
Really?
100%. I had completely forgotten that that's where we were. So I was as surprised as he was.
Yeah, that's fair. The movie is no longer. The movie was initially supposed to be called John Carter of Mars, but they changed it. They changed it because they wanted to get women to see the movie, and that didn't work. So I don't know.
Wow.
So sorry.
And then loads of women saw the movie, and it was great.
So taking away the of Mars thing makes it more appealing?
The women don't like the science, Harry. Come on.
It was really stupid how Disney was like, nobody wants to see a sci-fi movie set on Mars, but they want to see a movie about a hot boy called John Carter.
I was going to say, just call it Taylor Kitsch the movie.
It was dumb, and there was a There was like a poll set, like, you know, a bunch of people like, would you have gone to see this movie? It was called John Carter of Mars, and overwhelmingly everyone was like, yeah, hell yeah, that sounds awesome. So, you know, that sucked.
Sun, then Rasu,
Mercury,
then Kosu,
Venus, then Earth, us.
that is Jasum. You are on Barsum, John Carter.
Mars. I'm on Mars. Good God. I'm on Mars.
So she's like, I want to get this person to helium because he's going to, he can save my kingdom, he can save my life, he can save everything. He's the whatever. He's like, I just want to get back to Earth. I just want gold. Everyone leave me alone. I just want my gold on Earth.
He kept talking about this cave of gold.
Yeah.
Yes, the
Where
spider
is this
cave.
cave of gold?
Oh, no,
It
that's
was
where
the cave that he started in.
Yeah, it was full of gold.
Was it?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was like, not like a pot of gold, but like the ceiling was lined with gold.
Was it? Oh, I missed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it was enough to make him a rich man when we flash back to the future.
Yeah, that's why he's so wealthy.
Yeah.
Plot details.
Yeah.
Plot details. See, you watch it twice, you pick up on these things.
Yeah, clearly.
And I've watched it a bunch of times. It's a fun adventure film. Anyway,
It sounds like you've watched it a fair few times. I must compliment your knowledge on this film.
no, it's okay. I'm starting to. I don't remember what happens next though.
So
Just
where
as-
were we?
They
So
just
he-
worked out what planet they're on.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they
so
just
then
worked out
the
what-
three of them set out, don't they? Because
Yes, that's right. So now they set out to figure out because they go to the temple of the Tharks, which is the temple of Isis, which is their god, and
Yeah.
the Therns are the priests of Isis.
this
And
was so convoluted.
and
Because it
so
never
she's-
comes up again. Like,
And she's like, you saw this, and there's like a thing of the medallion, and he's like, that's what got me to Barsoom. And she's like, okay, well, we can get to the temple of Isis on the river, whatever the hell. And
Yeah. It might as well have been called the river, whatever the hell.
yeah, and we can take and we can get you home from that. So they're like, okay, yeah, but they're caught by the evil Tharks, and Tars is like, I'll deal with them. Get out of here, go away, run before I change my mind. So he lets them all leave. And that's when it's revealed that Sola is Tars's daughter.
Yeah, because John Carter has a psychic moment. So yeah, they go into this temple. They figure out that the way John Carter got to Mars was by touching this medallion, which is also
Yes.
the temple, which is very sacred to the Fargs.
Yes.
And so John Carter and low-rent Xena Warrior Princess and
Deja Thoris.
Deja Forest, sorry, and Solu, the nice Farg, they go into the temple and then they read some of the inscriptions and it gives them some kind of information. And then they
Yeah.
get caught by the other Fargs who are like, you can't be in the sacred temple, that's blasphemy, so you must die now. But then John Carter has a psychic moment when he realizes that Solu is Willem Dafoe's daughter, and so he's like,
Yes.
you don't want your daughter to die, do you? And he's like, fine, you guys run away and I'll take the hit for it.
Yeah.
Basically.
So they all go on a trek across the desert. The dog follows them because he's attached to John Carter, and they realize that they're going to helium instead because Deja is tricking them, and that goes nowhere because they just immediately go to the river. That was a weird thing that you didn't need that, but they're just like, look, just take me to the thing. I just want my cave of gold. Anyway. That's all he ever talks about is wanting his cave of gold. And so they make it to the river.
He mentions that cave of gold so many times. He's like a leprechaun.
You know what? At the time, the gold rush was huge. Like, everyone wanted gold. It was huge.
Yeah, sure.
So they get to the river, and they go down this river, and they find the temple. And in the temple, it's revealed that the spider is actually the solar system mapped out with the 9 planets. I don't know why anybody didn't realize that a spider is supposed to have 9 legs.
I've entirely missed that plot point on both viewings, so I'll take your word for it.
So the spider is actually the solar system, and he coincidentally is on the space where Earth is supposed to be. And she goes, "Oh my God, you're John Carter of Earth, yay!" And then turns to the camera, and she reads out that John is probably a copy of the person he is on Earth. So not the real John Carter. His consciousness is in this copied body.
Oh, see, I didn't get any of this until the very end when he like exposition dumps it. But...
Yeah, that's where that was first learned. He says, so I'm like a telegraph. My consciousness was sent from my body on Earth to here. And she's like, wait, I don't know what the rest is. Clearly lying. We need to go to Helium so that I can learn. And then there's a battle between these kind of like really like wild Tharks that Mark Strong sicks on them, and he's like, go, I'll be a hero because it's my name in the title. And
well, he gets some weird flashbacks at this point, doesn't he?
Yeah, so he gets the flashbacks that explain why he doesn't care about anything and want to get attached. Is that his family had died while he was at war. It looks like his wife and son. And not sure who killed him, though. I think in the books it's supposed to be the Apaches. Okay,
yeah, it really wasn't clear. He just gets back and finds his blackened, burned house.
Yes. His family is dead, and he buries them, and he goes off looking for gold. And it's just, again, he just wants to be left alone. And so he has these flashbacks at this moment, and he starts fighting, and the dog is fighting with him, and he gets overrun, and then Helium comes to save the day. And he gets captured for the 15th time, I think.
I mean, it's a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
This film has some very overused themes.
Yeah. Again, Andrew Stanton was drunk with power. Mm-hmm. He was like, I can do whatever I want. He gets captured and to realize that the Dominic West character had pretended to be nice because he's like, I was so worried about Deja Thoris. Oh my God, I would never live with myself. And Deja's not having any of it. And then they finally like, okay, fine, I'll marry you. And they go to Helium, where John Carter is broken out by a character that I don't think was a character up until this point. Some weird guy who looks like Dominic West but is not.
Oh God, yeah, this was really confusing. It's James Purefoy.
Yes,
this was super confusing. This is a major problem I had with this film, is that everybody looked the same.
Yeah.
Because obviously all the Thargs look the same because they're all just like these CGI green alien-y things. So I really struggled to differentiate between them. And then they made the huge mistake of casting both James Purefoy from Rome and Dominic West, and they both look the same. So when James Purefoy comes in like 2/3 into the movie and is like, hey, I'm actually on your side, guy, I was like, so Dominic West's not the villain?
Yeah.
And I was so confused.
Yeah, same.
This is the point actually when I did section, I was like, I have no idea what's going on anymore. This is the bit that broke me. Like,
I thought it was a pretty fun like breakout sequence though, where he's like, take me prisoner. Yeah. Take me prisoner. And he's like, what are you talking about? Are you okay? And he's like, okay, well, oh no, I'm taken prisoner.
I hear that you are incredibly dangerous. Take me hostage.
What?
Take me hostage.
Are you alright?
Oh! No! The white imbecile has taken my sword!
The big reveal is that Deja Thoris is going to marry Dominic West, and then this is when John Carter gets captured by the Thurn, Mark Strong.
Oh my God, he got captured again.
Just in like 10 minutes. And so the Thurn, Mark Strong, does an info dump of like, oh, I've been to Earth. You're from Virginia. I've always wanted to go there, and blah, blah, blah.
I'm now just imagining Mark Strong on like a tour of the world. You know, he's gone to the Eiffel Tower. He's taking photos everywhere. Big Ben.
So Mark Strong gives a whole info dump about not really who the Thurns are, but like we're influencing Martian culture, and we influence other cultures on Earth and things like that. We're everywhere, and John Carter is like, oh, these are the real bad guys, and they're the ones manipulating Dominic West, and they're the ones who gave him the blue light, the ninth ray, and they're like, we can't have Earthman do this. They're about to escape. They're about to take him away just so they could go back to Earth when the dog saves the day. And a really fun first-person bit, actually, of the dog running up the stairs. Yeah,
the dog is like Speedy Gonzales. It has like super speed.
Yeah, never thought of it like that.
Underlay.
Yeah. So the dog saves John Carter, and the Thurn escapes. And they're like, we need help. We need to do anything. And the Sola is there as well. And she's like, we need to get an army. We need to get Tars. We need the Tharks' help. And so they go to and she's like, Tharks don't fly because they got to go on the flying ship. But then they do anyway. And actually, I think it's a really funny image when the Tharks look through the glass, through the spyglass, and they see the dog just kind of like, wee! And then they crash, and then John's captured again.
The 8th time in this movie, he's a captain.
Yeah. And they realize that Tars has been overthrown by the douchebag of the Tharks, and they were going to put him and Tars in the arena with the white apes, and the white apes are these big, burly, gorilla-looking things.
This is where the movie just becomes Gladiator.
A little bit.
Yeah. A lot, I would say.
And the Tharks are really excited about this. They want to see some carnage, and Sola is like, oh my god, they're going to kill my dad, to where the other Thark, the female Thark, who's not a good one, is like, oh my god, they're your father? Oh no. And she gets somehow pushed into... No, so not how somehow. She's pushed into the thing where the white ape rips her apart, and I thought that was awesome. And then John beats the white apes and challenges the bad Thark to a challenge to be the leader of the Tharks, and basically beheads him in one throw.
It was so underwhelming. It was come and challenge me. I was like, oh great, we're going to have like a throwdown. No, he just jumps down, immediately beheads him. Right?
Yeah.
Bit of a shame, really.
Yeah.
And so then John Carter is not the leader of the Tharks. And so he goes to lead the Tharks to Helium, but Helium isn't... no one's there. The wedding isn't at Helium. It's at the other place. So he's like, well, we got to go to the other place. And like, we're not flying. You're an idiot. So they're like, fine, I'll go alone. So then he goes to try and stop the wedding. And he crashes the wedding, and then a battle ensues between the two warring races. And then the Tharks show up, and they're like, thank Issus that's over with, because they were in all the flying ships. And I thought that was funny. So then a big fight happens. Some comedy moments in the fight. I'm gonna kind of skip along.
There was a lot of shape-shifting in this part of the movie, and it only added to my confusion.
Yeah, Mark Strong's trying to escape because he's the bad guy, and so John Carter is trying to get the medallion, because he's still trying to get the medallion. So that doesn't work out. But Mark Strong pieces out to the sequel, and John Carter is victorious, and they all win, and all they live happily ever after, where John and Deja get married. What
was the time frame of this movie? When he knelt down and proposed marriage to her, I was like, you literally just met her. What?
It's definitely a couple of days.
Like, I get that she's hot, but come on, man.
It's true love.
Is it?
No, probably not. Well, so they get married, and he becomes the king of Mars, and the prince of Mars, and she's the princess of Mars, and he takes the dog out for a midnight stroll, throws away his amulet, and gets ambushed by...
It's an instant, like, oh, that's not going to go well for him. That's going to be a problem in all of about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And he gets ambushed by Mark Strong.
Maybe the worst line of dialogue in this entire film, when he looks onto the horizon, he throws his amulet away, and he goes, John Carter of Earth? Throws it away. John Carter of Mars. Yeah. Sounds better. He's like, oh, man.
John Carter of Earth. Yep. John Carter of Mars. Sounds much better.
And so he's ambushed by Mark Strong, and Mark Strong sends him back to Earth, where he's apparently been there for a couple of years. You get the implication that Earth moves faster than Mars, because Bryan Cranston is now decomposed.
Oh, was that Bryan Cranston's body?
Yes.
Did not pick up on that at all.
Yeah, because I guess that he'd been shot in the stomach and nobody had helped him, because John Carter had just left.
What a sad end for that character.
Yeah, he just died by himself in a cave.
Yeah.
Yep, pretty much.
And nobody found him ever.
Yeah, because I found his plotline entirely pointless.
What?
You don't say. So John Carter ends up going on this quest because he figures out the Therns have been to Earth before, so he's going to try and find other caves, see if he can find the medallion again, and it takes him about 10 years to figure out that he can't. Pretends that he does, I'm going to just say the reveal, he pretends to kill himself so that he can get the Therns to his place and kill them so he can take the medallion, and his body will be protected by his nephew, who turns out to be Edgar Rice Burroughs, the author of the books.
Writing himself into the movie, which is
Yep.
great.
Wait, sorry, what?
Oh, yeah. So Ned is Edgar Rice Burroughs. Edgar Rice Burroughs.
It's
That's
like if
actually-
there's a character in the Harry Potter films called J.K. Rowling.
See,
No.
I will
That's
not.
like that time that I wrote you and me into an episode of this.
Yeah. Just didn't turn out well, yeah. What, being Harry Chapel?
That was it, yes.
To be perfectly fair, the books are written as if Edgar Rice Burroughs is recounting the tale of John Carter's journals.
Sure, okay.
So that's not completely without merit.
So it's like a fictional autobiography.
Yeah, it's like, Sherlock Holmes is written from the point of view of John Watson writing in his books.
Yeah, but it's not written from the point of view of what's his face who wrote Sherlock Holmes.
Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the fictional Edgar Rice Burroughs. He's like, I'm recounting John Carter, who is my uncle.
Or like,
whatever.
what's his face? Lemony Snicket, I guess.
Lemony Snicket. That's a really good.
Yeah,
example.
okay, yeah.
Yeah,
That
that's
is
a good
pen
example.
name, but yeah, sure.
It's a pen name, but that's
Yeah.
also the author.
But he's a character. He's a pen name and a character within the books.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he kills the Thurn and goes up to Mars, and that's the end of the movie. So yeah, there you go.
Well, listeners, I hope that made perfect sense to you. It's a real straightforward plot.
I tell you what, Brandon, you did a fantastic
You did
job
do a great
of an
job, yeah.
incredibly convoluted
Yeah.
film.
Oh, thank you.
You never know.
Can we talk a little bit about the cast of this film?
Yeah.
Sure.
I think there's two major problems with this film for me. One is just the storytelling and the direction. I think it needed to be tighter and it needed to be clearer, and I think it was hard to follow. But I think the other main issue for me was that I don't think the cast was very good.
Sure.
I think that it was potentially a great cast because there were a lot of people who were very good in different things that were all put in this, and nobody was really trying that hard, I felt.
What did you think of Taylor Kitsch as John Carter?
Personally, I actually really like him. It's the only movie I like him in.
Because I felt like this character, they're obviously going for like a Harrison Ford, kind of like an anti-hero. Well, no,
Yeah.
not anti-hero. Like, he's a hero, but he's like a...
He's a rogue.
He's a rogue, exactly. He's a he can't be tamed.
Yeah.
And I feel like
He's wild.
he's weird, exactly. We talk a lot about on this podcast about like that X factor, that quality that makes someone really watchable and likable, and you're on the ride with them. The Rock has it. Arnold Schwarzenegger has it. Chris Pratt absolutely has it.
James Corden has it.
No. Come on. If James Corden was playing John Carter, what would that look like? What would that be?
Oh, that would...
It'd be a very different film.
yeah.
It's like when Jack Black almost was Green Lantern.
No, Jack Black, actually, I would watch Jack Black in this movie 100%.
Jack Black in this would have been fantastic.
That would work. Like someone with like charisma. I think that's the thing. For me, Taylor Kitsch doesn't have charisma. I just didn't find him enjoyable to watch, and I didn't find him to be engaging. And his voice, that was this weird kind of The Punisher meets like Nick Offerman from Parks and Recreation voice he was doing. I just couldn't get on board with it at all. Like when Harry was asking earlier, like how did this movie cost so much, because it doesn't look that great. But my thought was like, there's no stars in this. In fact, the budget doesn't account for any celebrities. And this film needed a movie star for me.
Yeah.
It didn't have any movie stars in it. It had a bunch of TV actors.
It needed to be like, oh, let's go and watch the new Will Smith film.
Yeah. Like
Sure.
something like that could have sold this for me. It needed a movie star. And having watched this and Battleship in short order,
Yeah.
like I don't, I hope, I'm sure he's a lovely man, and I'm sure his mum loves him and stuff, but Taylor Kitsch is not a movie star. I don't think he's a movie star.
Yeah. I don't think you're wrong. I do think he carries this movie well, but I think you're right about he's not oozing charisma, and perhaps that's the thing that you needed to make this movie work. At least for audiences. Like I said, for me, the movie works, but for probably a general audience, you would need someone with a little bit more charisma. I can agree. I can understand that.
There were multiple times when I was thinking, why am I supposed to be invested? Why am I supposed to care about what is happening right now? And it takes an actor that you just inherently like. Like Harrison, I mean, obviously Harrison Ford's too old now, but if this had been a Harrison Ford movie in the 80s, it would have been like, 100%. I'd be on board. Because he can sell it. He could sell snow to an Eskimo. And I felt like the rest of the cast as well, it was just... everybody was quite bland. Like the villain, Dominic West was quite a bland villain. The lady, what was her name?
Deja Thoris.
Deja. I've never seen that actress in anything else. Like, she wasn't bad, but she was just... Nobody was bad. Nobody was like, oh, you're distractingly poor at acting. It was just... Everyone was just like... not charming. Like, if we compare it to Star Wars, which I think obviously the comparison, Star Wars is the thing that's ripped off a lot. Like Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill. You know, if this guy's the Harrison Ford character, then she's the Carrie Fisher character, and she was so not Carrie Fisher. You know, you need someone who's going to be sexy and funny.
Yeah,
and her character was not that at all. She was just, you know, the chick.
Yeah.
Am I being too harsh or?
No. A lot of my interest in this film just comes from I like adventure films like this, and I don't think they make enough. So any chance that we get an adventure film, especially one with such a high budget and such a fantastical space opera, like I just gravitate towards it because I'm not going to see one for another 15 years.
True, yeah.
Cool. Any more points, or shall I get to drinking games?
Probably time to get to drinking games.
Right, so the first one I've got is drink whenever someone says the words Barsoom, Helium, or Virginia.
Yeah, I had that one too.
Because they all come up a lot.
I had Virginia.
Yeah.
I figured I didn't want to, say Barsoom, because I'm like, you know what, you're setting the tone. You gotta familiarize the audience with these names. But like Virginia, you could probably cut out a couple of lines ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Virginia kind of loses its charm halfway through, because initially it's kind of a bit of a joke that they're calling him Virginia.
Yeah.
When that's not quite his real name, but it just keeps on going, and they don't develop it at any point.
Yeah.
Like I thought they were going to shorten it to Virgin and just have a bit of a joke there, but they didn't.
Yeah.
It just becomes his title after a while.
Which is weird, given that the thing's not called Virginia of Mars.
No. That would be hard to stop. Although maybe more women would go see it.
If it was Virgin of Mars.
Yeah, the Virgin of Mars. Virgins on Mars, that's the If that's not already a porno.
Oh, God.
Drink whenever someone says John Carter of Earth.
Okay, yes.
Fair, happens a lot.
Because there was tons of times where there's just like, I'm John Carter of Earth, you're John Carter of Earth, blah blah blah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I just to complete this little trilogy, my first one is drink every time the red bitch says the word helium. It really did annoy me.
I like you call her the red bitch.
I can't remember her name. I don't care.
Is this the main female character?
The main female character. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
yes.
cool.
Deja Thoris.
You can keep saying it. It's not going to stick.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, my next one is drink when everybody speaks in place of the red bitch. Like just speaks for her essentially.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Happens a lot. There's a lot of times where people are just speaking for her. No, I didn't need to say that again, but carry on.
Drink whenever John Carter is captured.
Yeah,
solid.
We've established that he spends a lot of time as a prisoner for various people. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had drink every time he jumps and double drink every time he catches the red bitch.
Yeah, I do also have, as I mentioned, drink whenever she gets caught.
Yeah.
By anybody. I've also got drink when everybody cuts a bind or a chain instead of just undoing it. Like, it happens a lot. I mean, they must get through a lot of rope.
Yeah, do they ever actually untie anything?
Undo a knot.
Yeah. Drink every time there's a massacre. Like, the body count in this film is high.
It is high, isn't it?
He kills so many people. Like, he must kill so many of the Fargs. Like, you know, in that point when he just, like, jumps into them and, like, kills them all. And it's like, and then 2 scenes later, they're like, you are our leader, we love you. It's like, some of them are, like, widows, they're orphans because of this guy. Like, you know what I mean? He kills a lot of people. Yeah. The body count is very high in this film.
Yeah, in fact, there is that point near the start where, like, he gets captured or something, doesn't narrow it down. When he's just been there delivered with all the babies or something, and then he punches somebody, they fly towards a rock, bang their head, and they're dead.
Oh yeah, and he's like, you killed him with one blow.
Yeah, and they're like, way!
Yeah, I don't think the Fargs value life very highly.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the final one I've got is drink whenever he makes a horse or a horse-like creature run away because he thinks it doesn't need it anymore.
Okay.
So many times he's in a chase scene,
yeah,
and he then gets off his horse, slaps it on the behind so it just runs off into the distance because he thinks he doesn't need the horse anymore. It always works out.
But then he also needs the horse in a future scene, yeah.
Yeah, well, he doesn't know that he's not going to need it later. Like, you're being chased by people trying to kill you. Why are you sending your horse away? Nobody ever follows the horse mistakenly or anything. True. It's just odd. I don't know.
Yeah. I had drink for... Well, I've put it down as drink for Star Wars references, or maybe it's drink for things that appear to be Star Wars references, now that I understand that this film, on some level, came first. But anything that reminds you of Star Wars. Drink for any kind of scene that reminds you directly of a Star Wars scene. There is literally a bit when John Carter jumps into the action and shouts, "It's a trap!" Which I was like, oh wow.
Yeah, you're right.
There's also a lot of use of Wilhelm scream.
There is.
Well, like, that's so Star Wars' thing. You can't have that. Right?
It's not at all Star Wars.
Well, it's a lot of people's, but Star Wars in particular uses it a lot. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, Star Wars has retired the Wilhelm scream.
really? Well, I think most people should. It's too much of a cliche now.
Have they? Was it not in The Last Jedi?
Nope, it wasn't in Rogue One or The Last Jedi.
Oh, it was in The Force Awakens, but, whatever.
Yeah, that was the last Star Wars movie to use it.
I wouldn't put it past them to throw it in again.
Yeah.
No, they have they were talking about it. They have a new scream that they've recorded that they want to be a staple of Star Wars from now on.
That's not going to happen.
Nope.
You can't just claim your own scream. No one can invent the Wilhelm scream.
No, yeah.
That's not how those things work. I'm sorry.
It has my favorite joke in Ratchet and Clank the movie, when one of those characters falls off a ledge and he does the Wilhelm scream and someone just reaches over and goes, "Wilhelm!"
Nice.
It is actually how they're going to write out Carrie Fisher in the next Star Wars movie. It's just off screen. There's going to be a Wilhelm scream. And it's like, stay away from that ledge, Leia. And then that's it. She's gone.
Stay away from that Wilhelm ledge.
Yeah. Anyway, my final drinking game is drink every time you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, that's fair. So how did that go if you watching it twice?
I know. Well, my liver packed in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you doing this or?
Yeah, John's currently Skyping in from hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Barsoom. A world on the brink. For Z'Denga's new power threatens to destroy our city of Helium. And if Helium falls, so does Barsoom. Rubbish.
Cool. Okay, so before we get some sequels, Brandon, are you aware that me and John are on Patreon?
Yes.
Yeah, you are? Oh, cool. Okay, well, let me tell the listeners just in case. So me and John are on patreon.com/beyondtheboxset. If you've enjoyed this episode or any episode before, then please consider donating a little bit of money to us just to help us keep this all going. If you do, then you get a few bonus features, no matter how much you donate, because it's all the same. That's just the way we do it.
Pay as you feel system. Yeah.
Pay as you feel. If you think we're worth a lot, pay a lot. If you think we're not, then don't pay so much, but do pay.
As long as you pay.
Yeah. If you do, you'll get a bonus show called Beyond the Box Set, where we review films that are in cinema right now. And also we every year we review the Oscar nominees as well. That's always good fun. Yeah. Or sometimes not, depending on the film. But we always make fun of it. And also, if you become a Patreon once a month, a Patreon will get to pick a film for us to do on the main show. Mm-hmm. What was the last one we did?
Clue,
wasn't it?
We had Julio came on.
Yeah, that was it.
Clue,
yeah, that was a really good time.
That was fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our Patreons have good taste.
Yeah. So you can pick any film you like, and we'll do it on the show. If it's a film that has sequels or anything, we'll do it on a bonus show. And of course, you're very welcome to guest on it. And also, once a month. Once a month, every patron will get a 30-second slot on the main show to advertise themselves. They can advertise whatever they want. So, Brandon, this is a time where we kind of give it to our guests. Would you like to talk about your show for 30 seconds?
Oh, sure.
Tell us what it's all about.
So my show that's currently now on the Pave Media Network is called Fake Nerd Podcast. We touch on all things within the geek sphere, things like movies or comic books or TV shows, anything that's genre specific or just kind of that we're interested in. Like this week, by the time we're recording this, by the time this comes out, it'll probably be out. But we'll reviewing Us, Jordan Peele's new film.
Oh, great! Me and John are gonna go and see that in about an hour from now. That's gonna be great.
Very excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're reviewing that one. We haven't recorded that one yet, and. We have a segment called the Book Club, a Fake Nerd Book Club, where we talk about a comic book every week. That's brought to one of the co-hosts, but me and my 4 other friends, Ryan Eliopoulos, Ben Magnet, and Sparks. And that's pretty much it. We're basically just a variety show which just gets to talk about whatever we want. My goal was to create a podcast that would replicate the experience you would have going into a comic book store and talking with the people behind the counter. Because I used to work at a comic book store.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I worked there for about 4 years, and leaving it, I had this kind of hole in my life. I was like, I really miss doing this. So I decided to just do that and have it with my friends. And we try to bring a positive take to a lot of things in geek culture, because a lot of it can be steeped in a lot of negativity. So we try to be as positive as we can.
Look, I'm sorry I didn't like this film. I tried. I watched it twice.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I also have another show that's not on paid media, but that's Miscellaneous, and you can check that one out as well.
So where can people find your shows?
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Fake Nerd Podcast. On iTunes, just type in Fake Nerd Podcast. There you go. We do have a Patreon as well, and we have some merchandise on TeePublic or the Paid Media Network.
Ah, great, yeah. So also you can go to pavemedia.net/Fake Nerd Podcast, and it's all there.
Yeah.
Everything.
So yeah, we're really excited to be partnered up with Pave.
Yeah, we'll put links in our description. Right, so let's get some sequels.
Great.
I should say I'm looking at your Patreon right now, and it's quite funny.
Oh, thank you.
Which bit's funny?
Your tears are hilarious.
Oh yeah.
I had fun writing them.
Yeah, I like your $15,000. We will not refund this.
You never know. People might do that, and maybe they want to do it. Also, maybe they don't want to do it. But either way, we get the money, and we get to keep the money. So that would be nice.
Anyway, didn't mean to derail.
No, it's fine. But just like next time, you feel a bit, I don't know, like you're going to make some mistakes with purchasing. Just make some mistakes to people who will enjoy it. Yeah, just patreon.com/beyondthebox. That's never a mistake.
It's never a mistake.
It's pure gold there.
You get your money's worth. $2 a month.
Or 15,000. Aim high, John. Aim high. Aim high.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, sequels. I'll go first, if I may.
Go ahead.
So mine's called John Carter II.
John Carter II. Okay.
Mm-hmm. This is going to be a sequel set directly after the film finishes.
Okay.
So John Carter, he returns to Mars all those years later. He's from Spy Kid place, I don't know, the funeral place, whatever.
So he's taken the Farg's medallion from the end of the beginning and used it to return to Mars.
The Ferns medallion, please.
Sorry,
Sorry, Brian.
Ferns, Fargs, oh my god.
And he finds himself in a desert in the outskirts of the city. Is the city called Helium? Is that what's going on?
Helium is Red Bitch's city, yeah.
Great, okay. And so he's back on all fours because he's forgotten how to walk, and so we get a repeat of that scene, essentially.
Okay, sure.
And he makes his way towards the centre of the city, hoping to find the Red Bitch there.
I'm glad that's catching on.
Yeah, I'm using that. So he gets to the doors of what looks like a palace, which he knocks on, and he gets welcomed by a Martian butler.
Okay.
One of the green creatures. And he says, "Oh, Your Majesty, I thought you were already here." And he's like, no. Is the Red Bitch here? Yes, I believe she's having dinner unless she's with you. And he's like, "No, she's not with me. Can you just take me to her, please?" Mm-hmm. And so the butler takes him in and escorts him to the dining room. And when she sees him, she freaks out a little, which is a bit confusing. And he says, "Red Bitch, it's me. I've returned." I've just replaced... I've got her name here, I do, but I've just replaced it to Red Bitch.
Sure.
Jesus.
And he walks in further into the room, and we see that sitting at the opposite end of the table is himself.
Oh, okay. Like a doppelganger.
Pretty much, yeah. Okay. And so this other John, he stands up and shouts, "Who is this imposter?" And the standard John replies, "I'm John Carter. Who are you?" And he's like, "Well, I'm John Carter, King of Mars. Guards! Guards!" And the guards rush in. He says, "Look at this imposter at once. This is probably one of those shapeshifters here trying to kill me." And so Standard John, which is what I'm going to call him from now on, Standard John gets handcuffed and locked up.
Okay.
He has to get locked up.
Sure, of course.
In this film.
It's got to get captured.
Mm-hmm, yeah. And then from here he goes on a Thor Ragnarok / Tron Legacy / Attack of the Clones / Aquaman / John Carter kind of journey, where he gets thrown into some kind of an arena and Deus Ex Machina'd to safety by a new character on the field. Happens in all those films.
Yeah.
I guess this one did it first.
Sure, yeah.
In writing. Yeah, so this is going to be a new character, a female character of some kind, who's going to be absolutely in love with John Carter after a while.
Okay.
I've not cast anybody
so
or named
is she a red
this
Martian
person.
or a Fern or a Farg or a human?
You know, I don't know any of those terms other than human. She's human looking.
So is she also a human who's somehow ended up on Mars?
No, I'd say that she's one of the natives. But
okay.
So is she a red Martian, a black Martian, a white Martian, a yellow Martian, or a blue Martian?
Oh my god, I don't know. She's one of the ones that looks like a human.
So she's a red Martian.
Okay, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, and so they escape from the city and have a bit of an adventure, which leads them to the home of the Mark Strong people.
Okay, the Ferns, yeah.
The Ferns, yeah. Ferns?
The Ferns. THERNS. Not ferns as in, like, large plants. Like.
Yeah, so these guys who used to think that they were immortal, pretty much, they're now a refugee community.
Okay.
Because King John has invented guns on Mars, which obviously they are susceptible to.
Okay.
They already had guns on Mars.
Did they? Oh, for God's sake.
The Tharks use projectile weapons.
Well, how come Mark Strong was impervious to all that stuff on Mars, but not on Earth?
Well, he was never shot on Mars.
What do I do?
Yeah,
with
he
this?
was.
Okay, well, they
You can keep.
Okay, well, so they were very powerful back in the day, but now that King John is in power, he's essentially overthrown them a little bit, and so now they're no longer the most powerful beings, even slightly.
Okay. I'm enjoying all of this King John stuff. Big ego boost for me.
Well, it's getting to the end of that, and it's all going to be Standard John from now on.
Oh, fine.
Yeah. So then, less than Standard John walks into the village. Sorry.
Less than standard.
With his hands held above his head, saying he's unarmed, but this is the village of, like, Mark Strong people.
Okay, sure.
They're pretty much refugees now.
Okay.
Saying he's unarmed and he's not who they think he is, and he comes in peace.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Strong comes out, and we see that he's heavily scarred, like, all over, and John asks what happened to him. He says, "You did this," or rather, the other you did this. Because Mark Strong, he's pretty smart, he knows what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
We get a flashback.
Okay.
And this flashback, with narration from Mark Strong, to the moment that John was transported back to Earth at the end of the first film.
Sure.
And it turns out that that device doesn't just teleport humans. Well, it doesn't teleport humans. It actually duplicates them.
Okay.
So in that moment when John got sent back to Earth, he never actually left Mars.
Okay.
Like, just a new version of him was created on Earth with all his memories.
That can't have been Mark Strong's intention, though, right?
Pardon?
Mark Strong was the one who sent him back.
Yeah, Mark Strong didn't realise that until
so
until this moment.
The plan backfired
Yes,
on him. Okay,
yes.
fine. Yeah.
So, then John Carter is still remaining on Mars. He fights Mark Strong and scars him or whatever, and eventually becomes king.
Okay.
Yeah, so this means that this version of Standard John, now in present day, cannot return to Earth, and also cannot be with the Red Bitch because she's already got her king.
Okay.
Which is
so he's got no reason to be there anymore.
Pretty much. But,
Okay.
like, he can't get back to Earth.
Okay.
And he can't be king here. He can't be with who he wants to be, so it's a bit unfortunate. He decides to challenge King John for the throne.
Okay. So he's fighting a doppelganger of himself.
Yes, so he goes back to the arena, and they have a nice big fight.
That would make sense, because this whole film was people who look like each other fighting. So,
Yeah. And so it's, I guess, Taylor Kitsch playing two people at this point.
Great.
And it's a very, very public battle in which one John beats the other, but by the end of the battle, both Johns look identical because they're both just heavily injured, covered in blood.
Mm-hmm.
And so when one of them actually kills the other, we never find out which John wins.
Okay.
And that's pretty much the end.
Wow.
You could have some post-credit scenes, which are the other Johns from various different moments, both of whom are on Earth. There's the first one who is just sitting back in his tomb with, Spy Kid outside.
Sure, yeah.
He thinks that he's gone to Mars or something, but nothing's actually happened.
Mm.
And so he's like, oh shit, now I'm just stuck in this tomb. What do I do? And then there's a whole thing there. I don't know, maybe he starts saying random locations into this device and just duplicating himself all over the place. I don't know. And then there's also the John from the start of the movie in the cave.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy gets taken by the... What were the people that were chasing him? Apaches?
The Therns?
The Apaches?
Oh, the Apaches.
Yeah, he gets taken by the Apaches. And there's a whole little thing there with a Pocahontas-style story where he falls in love with a local and stuff. And this...
And what happens to Bryan Cranston in his terrible wig?
Oh, Bryan Cranston, he just gets left in a cave and dies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Poor Bryan Cranston.
Poor Bryan Cranston. Can't catch a break in this movie.
No.
Okay.
Bryan Cranston loves getting shot in the stomach and things.
Seems to be.
That's his thing.
Yeah.
So that's that. That's John Carter II.
John Carter. Okay. Makes sense.
Okay.
Works
Okay.
For me. Cool. Over to you.
Okay. Let's see. So I'm not great at this sort of thing, so I kind of went to the source material to see what I can do.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Stanton initially intended it to be a trilogy. The sequel was going to be called Gods of Mars, and the third one was going to be called Warlord of Mars, which are the titles of the second and third books.
Oh, they sound a lot more intense.
Yeah. The first book is actually called Princess of Mars, but they changed the movie called John Carter of Mars.
Mm-hmm.
So again, where we leave off, he's going back to Barsoom. But Deja is upset that she feels that he had left because Mark Strong pretended to be that same soldier that sent him away and said King John's left you. He went back to his cave of gold. So she feels betrayed by him, and so when he sees her, she's like, how dare you leave me, and blah, blah, blah. Maybe she's pregnant. I don't know. You could have something like that. Maybe she has a kid.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, like, she, half Martian, half man kid.
Would he be able to jump the same, or would he be able to jump just like a little bit?
Well, like a baby.
Probably like half.
Jump.
Yeah. Oh no, that I'd like to see, where she's essentially got to raise Superman as a child.
A little toddler, a super strong toddler that can jump as high as a as high as a tall building.
They'd meet halfway. He could jump, but not quite as high.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And he can punch, but not quite as hard. But still,
yeah,
pretty hard for a toddler.
Yeah.
So the Therns are actually in the books called White Martians. They are a Martian race who pretend to be priests to perpetuate this myth of the goddess Isis, who herself is actually just a very old black Martian and not a god. I'm going to take all that away because that's dumb.
I like it.
And say that Isis is actually a god, and the Therns are not Martians. They're maybe Venusians or something, but they're not of Mars. They're larger intergalactic beings who are trying to manipulate other civilizations within the solar system, to which there are some in my version.
Mm-hmm.
I also figure that you could do something with an element of the plot from the books, which was the blue light is actually how Mars has atmosphere. It's not a weapon.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, so, I mean, we didn't know that Mars didn't have atmosphere in 1890. So the blue light is actually supposed to be converted into a gas, which gives Mars its atmosphere. I think that maybe you could do something with that, how there's an atmosphere shortage and people are starting to die because Mars' atmosphere is collapsing because the blue light isn't working, and so John has to save the day because he doesn't want to see his newly found people die. And so it's a journey of him now back. He's trying to make amends for leaving for so long. And obviously he was gone for a decade on Earth, so there was some time differences on Mars, but not quite as vast. But he has been gone for quite some time, so a lot of people are very upset with him. And he's trying to prove himself to be the king of Mars, and would eventually become the warlord of Mars. I also think that you could do something. This is a different story where you could probably have him meet Tarzan.
Okay.
Well,
Carter meets Tarzan.
How does that work?
Because they're written by the same guy.
Oh, they're written by the same.
I got that, but where's the time?
So this would be a different story, and you would have it be him back on Earth. With him back on Earth, he's trying to find the Thern amulet. He's trying to, and so his journey leads him to Tarzan, where Tarzan is. And I think that'd be kind of a cool one. And I'm going to wipe away any time discrepancies because Tarzan has recently met the Planet of the Apes, and that doesn't make any sense either. So screw it.
I like it.
Yeah, so that would be a fun little thing because you could dive into the similarities of these two characters, but also diving into what how different the characters are. Obviously, they're both called white apes, so you could play something with that. And then there's another story that's derivative of John Carter that I would actually like to see reincorporated as a John Carter story. Mark Millar, who's a Scottish comic book writer, wrote a book called Starlight, which is basically about a John Carter-esque character coming back to Earth and living out the rest of his life being seen as a crazy guy because he's talking about going on to the stars, and he's like, I was a space adventurer, and you're like, you're insane. So now as an old man, the stars come to him and like, we need your help to save the day again and go off. And I think that you could do something really cool with John Carter on that, especially like now you bring back Taylor Kitsch, have kind of like a middle-aged Taylor Kitsch coming back and being like, I need to go save Mars again, and something like that. I don't know. Those are kind of the ideas I had.
I like Taylor Kitsch as just a crazy person that nobody believes.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. A middle-aged Taylor Kitsch just ranting and raving.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be a movie star.
Yeah.
I was going to be the next Tom Cruise.
My season of True Detective wasn't that bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that'd be really good. I like that.
I think that's very good, yeah.
Thank you.
So I mean, as I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, I really struggled to follow this movie. So sequel-wise, it was a struggle. So I come up with a couple of small ideas rather than one large one, just based on what I could glean from this film. So my first one is called John Carter, a Pixar movie.
Ooh.
Okay.
Because this is the first and to date only live action movie directed by Andrew Stanton.
Mm-hmm.
And I do wonder, maybe the problem with this movie is that if he'd done it as a full-on animation in the style of Pixar, maybe he would have done a better job. So I was thinking, rather than having it just as a CGI, why don't I have this film just be a Pixar movie?
Mm-hmm.
Just have it be a computer animated Pixar film. So same story, but it's animated. I did wonder, if it's a Pixar movie, it has to have like a horribly sad like subplot somewhere along the line, like some kind of horrible tear-jerking moment.
Everybody's parents are dead.
Yeah, well, how can we make this super sad?
All those babies, they die.
All the babies die. Wow, that's harsh even for Pixar.
Yeah. Well, they go to the next level each time. So,
what's the lesson there?
Don't let your babies die.
Strong lesson, Harry. Strong. That's a lesson the world needs.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah. I'm not sure. Maybe like he doesn't find love at the end, but that's all right. Like he's sad about it, but that's all right.
Yeah, not everyone does.
He's sad about it, but he moved on.
Yeah,
that
could work. Cool. Okay. So it's basically that. My first idea was basically remake the film, but make it a Pixar film, and make it make more sense. Idea number 2.
I like it as a Pixar film, or even maybe something like Treasure Planet.
Yes. Yeah, that was the vibe I was getting. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That could work really well.
100%. Yeah. This film had no soundtrack.
Yeah, why didn't it?
I think it actually has a good soundtrack, but done by Michael Giacchino.
It has a score, but no soundtrack, which is a choice.
Oh, you mean you want like songs?
There were no songs in this film.
Oh, that's.
Are you saying make it like Guardians of the Galaxy?
Well, not necessarily like that, but I really noticed that there were no songs. Like I don't know, there were
how many classic 1890s pop hits do you know?
Well, exactly, yeah. No, I'm not saying there should have been. I just found it interesting that this film chose to have no songs. Like you'd think,
I think they were going for a more Star Wars thing, and Star Wars isn't really
because sometimes that takes you out. I find that pop songs in fantasy films take you out of the fantasy a little bit.
Okay, John, I'll bite.
Sure.
What songs would you want in this film?
No, I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. I was just like...
You don't?
Well, maybe Bag It Up by Jerry Halliwell or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Girls are from Venus and men are from Mars. Something like that. But I don't have an answer. I was just genuinely making an observation that this film has no songs. So my second idea is called John Carter Must Die.
Oh. Wait, that reminds me of something. Is that from something?
There's a film called John Tucker Must Die.
John Tucker Must Die.
Which also had Taylor Kitsch.
Did it?
That's why it came to mind for me. Yeah, so I was thinking there's this whole bizarre subplot in the original film about John Carter having a wife who dies for unclear reasons. So I thought, well, since the end of the film establishes that John Carter fakes his own death to get back to Mars, what if his wife also faked her own death and went to Mars?
Oh, plot twist.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it turned out she faked her own death and went to Mars many years ago. So she's been like, I don't know, doing her own thing on Mars. I don't know where she ended up. But maybe she got kidnapped by some alien race, maybe the Fargs or the Ferns or the whatever.
Yeah.
The Red Martians. And she eventually makes her way to the Helium planet. And she finds out the city, the Helium city, sorry. She gets there and she finds out that her former husband has buried her alive back on Earth.
Right.
He buried her. We don't have to get that flashback.
Wait, was she alive?
Well, she was dead. As far as he knew, she was dead, but he still buried her.
Okay.
Because they say like that's the reason he locks himself in the tomb. Is that he's like, you can't touch the body because the body on Earth is related to the body on Mars.
Got
if you kill the body on Earth.
Yeah. So he's buried her. So she finds her ex-husband or her current husband, as far as she's concerned. They're not divorced, and discovers that not only has he buried her, which is not a good thing, but also he's shacked up with some Martian slut. So she's fucking pissed off.
You are not kind to Deja Thoris.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to like be sexist or anything. The character was annoying. So anyway, the wife vows revenge.
Okay, where did that lead?
I don't know. Maybe she kind of hooks up with Bryan Cranston, who also faked his own death to get into this world, and maybe it's her and Bryan Cranston.
I was thinking, surely there's got to be some kind of an action film where like I don't know, Brad Pitt's got with someone and Angelina Jolie's not happy about it, so she goes on a killing spree or something.
Isn't that Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
That's a similar plot to Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but it's not.
Not entirely, yeah. That's the kind of the vibe I'm going for. But anyway, yeah. So I just thought it would be like a whole revenge thriller with her.
What's it called? Martians Be Crazy?
No, it's called John Carter Must Die. But,
okay.
You call it John Carter of Earth.
Yeah, John Carter of Earth, yeah. There's options, yeah. But yeah, that was basically that. It's just like the wife is also on Mars and gets revenge.
Mm-hmm.
And my final pitch is...
Martian Bitches Be Crazy. That's what I was going for. There it is, yeah.
Great, progressive, yes. And my last one is called John Carter Behind the Bomb.
Okay.
And this is a mockumentary, a Christopher Guest style mockumentary in the style of... So Christopher Guest did Spinal Tap and Best in Show. He does a lot of like comedy mockumentaries. He did one about a film that gets Oscar buzz. I forget what it's called now. Oh, For Your Consideration.
Okay.
It's a film about like the Oscar season and about like characters who are in this like tiny little indie movie who realise that their movie's getting some Oscar buzz and then they all go crazy thinking they're all going to win Oscars. And it's a very funny film. Anyway, so I was thinking it'd be something like that. It's like a mockumentary style. It's about an actor in like a low rent but popular TV series like True Blood style thing. Like this kind of very, very hot but not particularly talented actor who he's like a TV star.
Yep.
He is on my shit list.
Oh yeah.
Taylor Kitsch after this film and Battleship is on my shit list. I just don't find him to be a very good actor. So this
Battleship is not a good movie, I'll give you that.
Thank you, yes.
I'll tell you what, I've got another film of his on my list.
Please no, I've got enough.
No, you'll like it.
Really? How many did you get to make before people realised you couldn't act?
I don't know.
Oh God. I'm already dreading it.
He was in X-Men Origins Wolverine.
I know he's in X-Men. Doesn't the red bitch play his girlfriend in that as well?
I think so.
Really?
Isn't she in like... I'm sure she is in an X-Men movie.
I don't know. Like he's not a major part in that X-Men film.
I'm sure she is a character. It's like she's had 2 notable films and that was one of them.
Okay.
Anyway, so this film is about like a TV actor who's, you know, a generic Hollywood honk who somehow gets voted onto some magazine list of like future the A-list stars of tomorrow, like the Variety or something. The Hollywood Reporter or the Variety like list of the actors who are going to be big stars of tomorrow. And he's at the top of this list somehow. And he starts believing his own hype and he gets cast in the lead role in a mega budget action movie blockbuster directed by an egomaniacal director who's never directed a live action movie before. So basically it's behind the scenes of this movie. So it's going to be about how this movie got made and how it fell apart. So I think it'd be really funny to like have all the actors making fun of themselves.
Yeah.
So you could have Taylor Kitsch in it making fun of himself as this kind of Hollywood himbo who can't really act but gets stuck in this big role with ridiculous wigs and stuff. You could have Willem Dafoe as like an Oscar-winning serious actor who's like playing this like bug creature. You could have
this bug creature.
Bug creature.
Yeah, cool. No, just hadn't misheard you. I mean, as a serious Oscar winner, he plays all kinds of shit.
Oh, he does.
These days.
Yeah.
Have you seen Aquaman?
For the last time, no. Jesus Christ. No, I've not seen Aquaman.
You should watch it.
You know what? After this podcast, let's just watch freaking Aquaman so we can just freaking get out of the way. Anyway, you could have Karen Hines and James Purefoy, the Roman actors, the Roman actors. They could be like serious like stage actors from Britain who don't understand a thing that's going on in this movie.
Yep.
And yeah, I just feel like it'd be a fun like behind the scenes version of this film. Like, you know, when you see it all go into shit, you see the director not understanding how to direct a live action movie, and then you see the reviews coming out, and I just think it'd be a really fun like Christopher Guest style mockumentary. I think that could really work really well.
It would be fun. I'd actually really like to see that.
Yeah, I thought it'd be good. So those are my 3 ideas anyway.
Oh, that's very good, John. Well done.
Thank you.
Real quickly, if you guys want to watch another John Carter film, check out Princess of Mars by The Asylum.
You know, Brandon, to be completely honest,
give us some time.
I think we've had our fill for the moment.
No, the Asylum makes really bad, low-budget films, and I was surprised to see that they tried to do a John Carter movie. I'm curious to see how that turned out.
Give us a few months and we might revisit it.
Yeah. Also, you mentioned the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen actually does. John Carter does appear in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, in the second volume of the comic.
Oh, but not in the film?
Not in the film, no. I just looked that up.
Oh, cool.
Anyway, just little fun snippets.
No, that's interesting. Very good. Should we get some listener submissions, Harry?
Yeah, sure, let's do it.
I'm curious to see what I saw. I saw one of them said Disney doesn't own the rights, and I was like, that's not the point.
So, I've got a few here, not many. Firstly, I've got Jesus Cepeda, I believe his name is. I always mispronounce.
It might be
definitely
Jesus.
Jesus. I don't know how to pronounce that word.
It might be Jesus.
It's more likely to be Jesus.
Oh, I don't know. It's the same spelling.
Is it our Lord and Saviour, or is it just some guy on the internet?
It could be both.
Okay, sure.
Who has just sent me the gif of Homer Simpson shouting "nerd" out of a car.
Great.
Okay.
So great. Yeah. Dan Pratt says, how about a John Carter sequel prequel spin-off where the princess dresses like she does in the Dynamite comics? John, there's an image for you.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
okay, so
it's
I'm
real,
looking at a picture of a naked lady with absurdly large breasts.
There was a customer at the store I used to work at who would only get John Carter comics. So we would only order one copy of these books every single time they would come out. And those Days of Thoros covers are quite interesting, is a word I would use.
So have we basically spent the last 2 hours reviewing a movie that's basically based on a softcore porn? Is that what's happened here?
I mean, no.
Okay, so Paul Spooner says John Carter 2 Into the Carterverse.
Into the Carterverse. Nice.
But that's become one of the new things now, hasn't it?
Yeah,
New
yeah.
titles.
Yeah.
They were trying to do a Batman Beyond into the Batman verse for a little while.
Did they?
I mean, it was kind of... It was like Warner Brothers accidentally leaked something, and then they were like, this isn't happening, but everyone was kind of like, no, but we'd watch it.
Actually, thinking about it, to be honest, okay, it's kind of... It's a what-if scenario, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really. And you know what? I'm totally all for what-if scenarios with superheroes. Spider-Man worked really well. There's no reason Batman can't do it either. But calling it Into the Batman-verse or the Batverse or whatever...
It's a bit
close.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bit dumb, yeah.
So anyway, John Carter 2 Into the Carterverse. John is teleported away by a mysterious omnipotent being to team up with all the Carters in the multiverse, including Coach Carter, Agent Carter, Sylvester Stallone's character from Get Carter, and the actress Helena Bonham Carter.
Great.
Oh, Jesus.
Together, they must band together, put aside their differences, and save all of existence. I love it.
That's nice.
Yeah, that works really well.
It's workable.
And the other one I've got, it's the last one I've got, Dante Pinot, obviously, says John Carter Legacy.
Okay.
So we see John Carter, the great, however many greats it takes to make it just slightly in the future, grandson of the original John Carter, in the ruins of what used to be the Martian throne room. We discover that after original John Carter died, there was a civil war over whether the Martians should allow alien peoples to intermingle with them. And the Civil War destroyed everything. Explorers from Earth visit Mars and discover a Mad Max-style Mars, and have to help new John Carter restore peace and order and help redefine Martian culture and society to make a new place where the people of Earth and Mars may mingle in peace.
Nice, very nice.
I like that.
That's good.
That feels like a very decent sequel to this.
That seems reasonable. Yeah, that seems
Yeah, you can pull that off.
Yeah, that's what we got. What you got, John?
Okay, I have a few as well. Andrew Russo said, "Get John Carter," as in Get Carter, Get John Carter.
There it is. Yeah,
classic film.
Yep.
Okay.
Mike Carey said, "John Carter joins the Spiders from Mars." Bit of a David Bowie reference there.
Yes.
Very good. Andrew Leafing said, "John Carter and the Bassoons of Bassoon." It's a musical. Christiana Manzano said, "John Carter and the tiresome narrative of the white man who did nothing to earn his power." I mean, that's fair. He didn't earn it, he just had it handed to him.
Yeah.
Spencer Kopp said, "John Carter of Uranus." Obviously, it's a porno.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Yeah.
Someone was gonna go there.
Yeah.
Harry, I think you're going to like this next one. William Leclerc said, "John and Agent Carter, a very strange MCU crossover."
Sure. I don't like it, but sure.
Right. That's a concept. You recognise it, yeah?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Mika Wynn obviously had a similar reaction to this film as I did. Just said, "John Carter fucking dies."
God. Brutal.
Wow, yeah. Colin Baxter said, "John Carter and Matt Damon moved to Mars to grow potatoes, but something threatens their enterprise." I think it's like a Star Trek meets The Martian.
Yeah,
okay.
I can see that.
I think the use of the word enterprise is very loaded there. Yeah, I just assumed.
Cool. I mean, I'll do more to your delivery of it, but yeah, sure.
Jason Harris said, "John Carter, democratically elected leader of Mars." It, yeah. And Kevin James Kramer said, I actually really enjoy this movie. It's got issues, but it's a really fun popcorn flick. So sequel idea is...
Thank you.
Yeah, Kevin James Kramer is on your side. His sequel idea is John Carter 2, Coach Carter.
Okay.
Also a film.
Sure.
Coach Carter. Yeah.
People like that Coach Carter thing.
Yeah, that's proven to be popular.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, those are our sequel ideas for John Carter. If you have any sequel ideas for John Carter or any films we've done in the past, please let us know. We are Beyond the Box Set. You can find us at beyondtheboxset.com. Our podcast is available on all good podcasting platforms, including iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Acast, Google Play, you name it, we're on it. If we're not on it, let us know and we'll get on it. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Just search Beyond the Box Set or at Beyond the Box Set on Twitter, and we have exclusive merchandise on tpublic.com. Just search Beyond the Box Set. And also we are proud members of the Pave Media podcasting network. Did I get through that?
Yeah, yeah, you got through it very good.
Okay, good. So
whether you've done that without being asked to do so, and also Ross did the exact same thing on Two Geeks Do Movies last episode.
I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Without being told to do so, just like, oh yeah, Pave Media ?
I'm just trying to, I'm trying to support it.
Well done. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So, Harry, what are we doing next week? Is it my choice?
It's your choice, yes.
Oh, it is. I just want to make sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh God, your eyes lit up then.
Well, no, well, so yeah, I've had a film on the
Is it going to
back
be any kind of film to do with Mars? Brandon, not sure if you're aware, we did The Martian last week.
Oh yeah.
And so now we've
I
done
remember.
this. Are we doing a Mars theme or are we not?
No, I didn't think of that. I mean, we could do like Mars Needs Bombs or something, but that wasn't where I was going.
Is that a film?
One of the biggest
Yes,
flops of all time.
yes.
Yeah.
Whoa, that sounds awful.
Do you want to do that?
No, it's
a
your
huge
choice,
Disney
John.
flop.
It's your choice.
Well, I was going to suggest just a film that's been on my shortlist for a while, which is The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
That's been on my list too.
Yeah, should we just do that one?
Yeah, let's do that one.
Cool.
That's going to be good.
Great. So next week we're going to do The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Lovely.
Have you seen it, Brandon?
I have not, but I own it. I've been meaning to watch it for quite some time.
Well, this is a good opportunity for you to watch it.
Yeah.
Get prepared.
I might check it out.
You should, yeah. Cool. So join us next week for The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Brandon, would you like to have one last crack at promoting your podcast very quickly? To tell people where you can find it, what it is,
Sure. And well, you can find me personally on Instagram and Twitter at BT McClure. As I said, my show, Fake Nerd Podcast, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Fake Nerd Podcast. I have another show, Miscellaneous. We talk about mythology and things of the like. That's Miscellaneous. If you can't spell that, it's a tough word to spell. It's MYTHELLANEOUS. But Fake Nerd Podcast is part of the Paid Media Network now, so you can check out that on that site. We talk about nerd culture and all things of the like. Try to take a bite out of a nerd culture and try to take a more positive stance on certain things. I forgot to mention the name actually comes from the idea that there are quote unquote fake nerds, and I don't believe that's true. So we try to disprove that idea sometimes.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
I think our name's kind of a counterpoint to what we're trying to do.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go.
Cool. Well,
thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
No, it's been a pleasure, and thank you very much for bringing this film to us. And I'm sorry that we didn't enjoy it more, but it's been fun to talk about.
Not everyone can like everything.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, thank you very much, Brandon, and join us next week for The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
That's going to be a good one. Okay, thank you very much, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Beans. The first item is beans.